Hello and welcome to yet another episode of Tabletop Odyssey. Today I'm bringing you the Wildfire keyword Malifaux Crew Unpack for Malifaux 4th edition. So this was quite a interesting vote, very overwhelmingly in favour for Karis here, so we get to see just exactly what this firebrand is up to. Now, who is Anasalea Karis and why play Wildfire? See, for Karis, control is an illusion. It's what she learned when she came to Malifaux. She was, in fact, a woman of control and routine. She acted as a troubleshooter for the Union, and usually did so by shooting said trouble. However, she soon became obsessed with the arcane, eventually pulling her anger and frustration into a gout of flame. The Arcanist leader of the time, Ramos, took advantage of her newfound power, despite her lack of control over it, making her the face of the Arcanists. She would conduct raids upon the guild, burning them to smithereens. Her wings in the sky became an ill omen for the guild, and she took massive pride on the sizable bounty they placed on her. Ramos, however, chose to ignore the lack of control you can truly have over fire. And when the death of the Governor General allowed Ramos to pursue a personal project, he split the leadership of the Arcanists and the Union between Karis and Tony Ironsides. But he didn't see Tony handing him over to the guild in a deal far too good to refuse. A deal that saw Karis run rampage across Malifaux, a new building aflame for every single day he spelt in chains. She then planned her revenge against Tony too, a grudge she still holds on to. Tony, on the other hand, tries to keep the peace, thinking unity is best, but Karis does not care. She pushes them daily to more and more extreme measures. It is her argument that they cannot be defeated if the guild no longer exists. Now, with that being said, why would you want to go play her? Well, Wildfire is not for the faint of heart, but it's for someone who really appreciates the idea of chaos, destruction, and wants to set the world aflame. Maybe they are filled with anarchists and freedom fighters, those who just really want to be as free as a flame. Or maybe they're one of those people that just like a cult that burns people alive, you know, for the Burning Man. That would be cool, right? Or maybe you're one of those people who like robots, especially the ones that blow themselves up. Karis has taken over Ramos's work and, well, she's added a bit of fire of her own. Or maybe you're just one of those people who, really, let's be honest, we all know one of these. You think that every single problem can be solved with a fireball. Which brings us on to the cards themselves. First of all is Karis Iron-Threaded and her Limit Test crew card. Now, the thing is about the Wildfire keyword is that it is essentially just two keywords in one. Iron-Threaded, which is going to focus more on your little robots going around blowing things up. And the second is Reborn, which is going to be focusing more on setting people aflame. In this case, Limit Test is for Karis Iron-Threaded, and she allows non-peon Wildfire models to gain 3 tactical actions. Well, 2 tactical actions, really. And 1 for an ability, rather. First of which is a signature. Well, they both are signatures. They both have a range of 6 and a TN of 5, which means they are remarkably easy to go off. The first is the Frantic Triage. This allows you to remove a token from a friendly model to summon a steam arachnid within an inch. Now, this is quite good. You've got a lot of different tokens you can put on yourself, be it hastened or burning, or even the aura of fire, and obviously you can prepare for other tokens as well, so having a way to strip that off is great and summon an arachnid. It also is great token removal you just have for everyone, should you be facing people who want to stamp lots of tokens of themselves on you. It's really cool. We then have Burst the Core, which targets a friendly steam arachnid within 6, and then enemy models within 3 inches of the target gain burning and dealt 1 damage, and then you kill the target. Now this is just a nice way of just blowing them up and getting some guaranteed damage and burning off for 3 inches for a cost of a 5. Pretty effective. We then have the Constructs gain the following ability. It's red line here. Now this is a fantastic ability. When your model is activating Constructs, remember, it may drain a stone and gain a burning to declare the walk. Now you don't actually mind too much having burning on your own models, but being able to get a free walk when you activate for the cost of a stone, giving yourself burning that you kind of like, is quite good. If you've got the stones available to you, it's just a really nice extra AP you can squeeze out here. Now, a couple of tokens to be considered here. First of all, obviously, is burning. She loves fire. This crew puts out a lot of burning, so during the end phase, deal damage to anyone with burning, and then enemy models in base contact with it also get burned. And then finally, Hastened, which gives you +2 speed until the end of its activation, cancelled by Staggered. Now, this just really adds to everything going on already. So when you look at a certain speed stat, just consider if it's got Hastened, it's going to add +2 to it, meaning these guys are speedy. Up next is Iron Threaded herself, and she has some remarkable stats here. She's got 7 in defense and 6 in willpower, 14 defense, which is really nice. Sadly, no other defenses, but good stats regardless. A speed of 7, which obviously can head up to 9 if they get haste. I'm not sure she can give it to herself, but it is what it is. She's got flight as well, which means she can take good advantage of that high speed. And she has fast cast, which is going to allow her to charge and cast her Grand Conflagration. A stat 7 versus speed magic attack that deals 3 damage, gets a positive if the target has burning, and gives burning to a model's damaged by this. And when you say models, well, technically you can hit more than one if you get the blast trigger, dealing this action's damage to a different enemy model within 2 inches of the target. Something you'll want to be hitting quite a bit. If you manage to hit the Kindle trigger, however, you can just deal an extra point of damage, which is nice, and Blazing Barrier gives yourself that aura of fire, which is quite nice. If you do manage to kill a model, you can trigger extra parts. Once per activation, you may pick a scheme or remains marker within an inch of the killed model, which is really nice for setting things up. Yeah, nice and tidy. Now, she also has another attack which is quite fun here, which is Up We Go. Notably, it's skill 4, which is quite high for this attack, against size, and it allows you to do 2 damage and place the target anywhere within 3 with a trigger to hand out slow. Now, this is really fantastic, to be honest, on displacing enemies on points. So getting them away from performance markers or from bombs and things like that, pulling them out of a bubble. However, if I'm being perfectly honest, the majority of her actions, perhaps the early ones at the very least, will be on these 2 tactical actions, the first of which is Summon the Swarm, a 12-inch with the cost of a 4 required to summon a steam arachnid within an inch of an enemy. Obviously, this means you're going to have to get quite close before this to go off, and she doesn't really have a signature until that point, other than the notable ones on her crew card, but it's still worth noting. And then Overclock, which is probably something you will spam, 12 inches once again. On a cost of a 6, you target an allied construct other than herself, and you can't target the same model. It gives them hastened and then lets them declare an action, any action, which is fantastic. This means that you're able to basically obey your own allies from 12 inches away to either move at +2 speed, which is fantastic, interact, attack, etc., whatever you need to do, with a lovely stone trigger here to, if they've not activated so far, they can do so immediately after this model ends its activation, which is pretty cool. Nice strong model. We then have her totem, the Eternal Flame here, little casket of fire. It's quite fragile with 5/4 defenses and 9 wounds, but it does have armor, which is really nice, and Flameborn, which means it heals damage from burning instead, which obviously is only going to be 1 damage particularly, but it's still nice. She also has Stoke the Boiler, which allows you once per activation when an ally with an 8 gains Burning, it also gains Hastened. Now this is really important because you're going to be handing out Burning a lot, especially if you decide to redline. So lots of things are going to be hastened, which means very fast. It also has the ability to spawn a Steam Arachnid itself at the cost of 2 irreducible damage to itself once per turn, which is kind of nice if you just need to get them out. It also has Tap the Leyline, but we don't particularly care too much about that, and 2 signature actions, the first of which is stat 5 magic attack to deal burning to the target and models within 2 inches, which is really good, especially if you need to get Stoke the Boiler off. Handing out burning to people within 2 inches of the target, it does not say enemy models, can be your own. And then Backdraft, of course, 8 inches here. All enemy models within 3 inches of the target have to pass a speed duel or move 3 inches towards them. That pulls them all up together, which then allows things like Flame Blast to hit more people. Pretty fun. Nice, tidy little totem. Your other option here, however, is to become part of the Cult of the Burning Man here with the Burning Man's Prayer for Chaos Reborn. Now this one is a little bit more difficult, a little more hoops to jump through to be effective. It's still fun, but it might be more difficult to play. Now this basically revolves around the fervor bar, which goes up to 3, and at the cost of a stone, the cult wildfire models are able to trigger this. Cost of a stone, and you've got to have a cult model within an inch of the center line, so it's not particularly easy to go off. The model heals 2, gains a burning token, and then if it's not been increased this turn, increase it by 1. So you can do this essentially once per turn. Well, you can get the healing and burning as many times as you like, but the fervor only raises once per turn. Not a great ability on that front, hard to increase, but what it does do is it increases your effectiveness of burning. For 1 fervor, your damage from burning is dealt to people within X inches instead of base contact, and X equals the value of the fervor bar, so obviously on the first turn it will be 1. And consecutively granting up to 3. On 2 fervor, you have burning tokens are not removed during the end phase. This is really important for stacking regenerative effects on some of your models, but also for being able to just consecutively deal damage, essentially turning it into slightly stronger poison. And finally, 3 fervor allows enemies that are targeted with a burning token are dealt an extra 1 damage if it deals damage, which just means burny hurts more. It's fun, if nothing else. Bringing on to Reborn herself. Reborn has 14 wounds, stat 6 defense, and 5 willpower. Not as good defenses here. Speed 7 though, which is still good, and she retains that flight, which is nice. She combines this with the flame that is promised to me, which is when she's dealt damage, she can remove a burning token from any model within 2, not just allies, not herself, enemies as well. She can remove a burning token to reduce the damage by 2. That's nice, makes her a little bit more durable than her counterpart. She also has the Burning Man's Gift once per activation, which Flames promised to me is not, notably. And then after an ally within 8 inches with a burning token declares an action, it may add a suit of its choice and then removes the burning at the end. This is really nice, you're basically using your burning to gain suits of your choice, making things more interesting. Now her attacks here is the Hand of Immolation. It's a 2-inch melee. Sadly she does not have a ranged attack. And this is a stat 6 3 damage melee attack that when it has burning she gets a raised value of 3 and then models damage by it, also gain burning. Triggers to discard a card from the enemy, it's really nice. Rampage is great to move you 5 inches. And then dealing extra damage to those you move through. And of course, Accelerant is really nice here to resolve the effect of the target's burning. Nice. She then has 3 tactical actions. First of all is the most commonly used Wings of Fire, allowing her to move 6 inches in a straight line, burning enemies that are, well, models that are moved through. That's pretty nice and solid, a good way to stack it on your own allies as well as getting on enemies. She also has the other signature, Phoenix Touch, which for a cost of 6 heals an ally 2 and gives him burning, with a way to splash out on the trigger as well. Finally, the tactical action, Leap of Burning Faith, costs a stone. An ally within 4 inches with a burning token can place anywhere within 8 inches of its current location. That is a massive, massive place, and it's probably one of the best uses of stones outside of triggering your crew card in your keyword. Definitely something to use here. Explosive Entrance is obviously nice as well. This means that Keris is a lot more energizing allies to be coming with her, a bit of a healer and a beater. She definitely wants to be a lot more up close than her other title. Now, her totem also really likes being in the thick of things here. It has flight to compensate for this. 9 wounds, speed 7, really good. And Flameborn means that if it suffers damage from burning, it's going to heal instead, which means it basically treats burning as regeneration at the end phase. Nice. But the reason it really wants to be close is the Madness engine, which means if an enemy model in a burning token within 6 inch dies, you gain a stone, which means you can fund loads of other stuff with it. So you don't have to worry too much about taking max stones with you, because you should be able to generate more. And this title particularly likes killing, so it's something you should be doing a lot of. They have the Breath of Fire attack as well, which is able to put damage onto 2 different people with a range and give them burning, which is nice, with a really cool trigger here to move you up to 5 inches. You have the Thermite Injection, which gets a raise of 3 if they have burning, 2 damage with Onslaught, meaning that Herbie is no slouch in melee either. And finally, their tactical actions. You got that signature Living Sparks, really cool. It treats X as equal to 2 plus the level of this crew's fervor bar. So it can be up to 5 inches, models within 5 inches essentially, if it's on 3, gain 18, 13 willpower or gain burning. Just a really nice way to hand out burning from quite a lot of distance here. And then you've got a way to either push people away from a point or towards it. Really nice for kicking people off informants. On to the meat of the crew, however, and when I say meat, I mean in this case it's more of a robot man. We've got Howard Langston, Spider Legs himself, costing 10 stones with 5/6 defenses and 13 wounds with armor. He also takes Spider Legs to the max with Don't Turn Your Back, meaning he can turn off those interacts when he's engaged with people at the start of their turn. Really nice effect there, something for people to play around. Now, this is supposed to be a traditional beater here. He does have the Executioner clause, stat 6/3 damage, and if you're going to raise, it has that execute effect, which is really nice. It probably won't go off too much, but it will certainly drain their resources. Getting Kindle as well to boost that damage is really nice, and Light the Wind for the extra movement is kind of important. You also have Command Construct as a signature, which is quite cool, allowing you to target a friendly construct within 10 inches and make them declare an action, with a nice trigger to summon an arachnid as well. This means that he really wants to be paired with another construct to really get the damage done and get the work out of it. He also has the tactical action, the monster you made, for a cost of a stone. You may remove any number of tokens from enemy tokens from this model, and he gets to charge ignoring restrictions, increasing the skill generated by the number of tokens removed. Sadly, this is probably something you won't use too often. It just basically is a boosted charge. It's not a signature action, which is really disappointing, which, sorry, I have to say, Howard is probably not worth taking in the majority of cases. There are a lot of better beaters you can take either out of keyword or versatile that are probably worth considering, especially for cost of 10. That being said, he does have a place within Dying Threaded, so it's something to consider. Now we've got a cult model here, the Firestarter. The Firestarter is probably an auto take, if I'm being honest, in both keywords. He has flight, 7 speed, which can obviously get up to 9 with haste. He has Pyromania, so when he receives a raise, he hands up burning within 6. And he has Reckless, so he can deal damage to himself to treat any action as a free action, well, signature rather. This is amazing. Obviously, you're going to be taking damage on yourself, but there are multiple ways to heal within keyword. But this really allows the Firestarter to either treat walks or interacts for free, which is really good for scheming, or he can use it on things like light under their feet, which allows him to move friendly models up to their speed, and if they've got burning, they can remove it to ignore models in terrain. Now this is really good because you don't have the best ability, you don't have anything like Onward within your crew, so you are relying on other models like the Firestarter moving your models upfield. You also have another signature action, which is Blast to Bits, a 10-inch range. Once per activation, targets a ski marker, and you can blow it up, essentially, to deal 2 damage to people in range, and hand out burning or summon arachnids. It's okay. Honestly, I'd probably be using Reckless to get a better signature most of the time. You've then also got Conflagration, which is a nice little magic attack from 10 inches away, meaning he does not have to get close at all. He gets a positive if they've got burning, and he hands out burning as well. Nice little Kindle trigger, obviously to boost the damage, but while the gas can is quite interesting, it has to be declared on a mask, if able, and when resolving it deals +1 damage to the target, and then +1 damage to another friendly model within range. Now, if you have Steam Arachnids, dealing the damage to them can be good. Quite interesting way to throw it off, but also just throwing damage onto anyone else is perfectly reasonable. Depends how much you need the kill, but obviously you can't say no to that one. Basically, he's just a perfect support model that can stay at the back, push your models to where they need to go, and do a bit of scheming himself. We've then got the Scorpius, who is another construct here. They are 6 costs, so they're one of the cheapest ones you can hire. Well, cheapest unique one you can hire. And this is again a bit more of a support model. It's got armor and 8 wounds, only 5/5 in defenses, however. But it has a couple of interesting abilities here. The first of which is Ignition, which means that enemy models that activate within 3 and have a burning are dealt an extra damage. This means you can really compound the damage dealt by burning. 3rd degree burns as well means that enemy models with burning cannot declare triggers or drain soul stones while engaged with this model. Now that is fantastic at just shutting down some models here, especially those who have really nice attack triggers. It has the tactical action Liquid Flame as well, which allows you to make a ski marker within 3 inches, which is a nice little boost from the normal 1 inch, and then all models in between the area are going to gain burning. That's pretty cool. And then Thermite Injection is a nice little 2 damage melee attack that gains a raise of 3 if they have burning, with a nice Kindle trigger to boost it up. And interestingly, the Siphon Essence, meaning if it kills, it infuses a soul stone. This is the only way if you are taking Iron Threaded to infuse soul stones outside of your own models dying, so definitely something worth considering. Up next is Deacon Hillcrest, who is great in both keywords, but both titles even, but is certainly good with your Reborn here, as he is a cult model. He hasn't got the best defenses, but he does have Promise to the Flame, which means once per activation, if he is within 2 inches of a model with a burning token, he reduces all damage dealt to him by 1. And then he compounds this with a nice thing of turning all your scheme markers, both friendly and enemy scheme markers, to hazardous burning, which is really tasty, especially if people are trying to remove them. He then has the tactical action Purifying Fires, which allows him to remove up to 2 tokens from a target and hand out burning. This is really good token removal from other things. Obviously more beneficial in Reborn, who doesn't have the crew car token removal, but it's still nice to have. Definitely better than hiring someone like Altus out of keyword. You then got the attack Consuming Madness, which discards a card from the enemy for every raise you gain, with an inbuilt blaze trigger. It's a very decent magic attack here, nothing to write home about, but really you're taking this guy for a translocation ritual, allowing you to target allies, placing them anywhere within 6 inches, within an inch of a model with burning. It can be an ally or an enemy here who has burning, but you just place them within an inch. Really nice. With an inbuilt trigger to heal 1 and gain burning. Really cool. This means that Deacon Hillcrest is just really good at placing models up the field and helping you with that unpack. Onto the Boilermaker, yet another model who likes moving things around. This time he's a bit more about enemies as well. He is a 9 cost model with 12 wounds and armor, so he's a little bit sturdy here. He is a construct. And when he has burning, the area within 3 inches is considered hazardous, which he can give himself burning as well through Burn Away Pain, a cost of a 6, attacks collection healing 2 and getting burning, with a nice little trigger to spam out burning to 2 inches. Means he is nice and tanky as a model, is really good at holding points. I really like this. Giving hazardous to those who are within range. He is also being taken for the portable portal, which once per activation, and if an ally ends a move within base contact, he can drain a stone to place them within 6 inches of you, which is pretty cool. Nice way of just catapulting people up the board, and of course all they have to do is end a move of any kind, not just a walk, any move in base contact, and then they're flung up for the cost of a stone. Obviously you have different ways of getting stones, really nice here. You then have the tactical sparking remains, which is going to be nice to target a remain or scrap marker. Obviously you've got ways of pulling them out with things like dismember, so you can then target those and do a TN14 speed duel, or give enemies 2 damage and burning. Pretty cool. Really, however, this model is going to be spamming its attacks more than anything else. First of all is the Chain Wrap Fist, a nice 3 damage melee that has crit strike, which is good at punching for sure. But obviously you have the Corrupted Chains, which pulls people towards you and then deals damage to them. Quick reflexes mean you can pull 2 enemies closer towards you before smacking them in the face if you so wish, but it's also really good at pulling people off of points and away from this. Certainly a model to consider. Up next we have Elijah Borgman. Now, if anything really epitomizes the cult here, it's Elijah. And this model is a really good beater, but he's also a really good schemer, so it's quite annoying that he's good at both. Yeah. So first of all, he is a fast model, speed 6 or 8 with hastened, and he's got Blade Rush, so when he charges, he deals damage to models he moves through. He combines this with Onward, which is the only model Onward in your keyword, meaning he is obviously going to be a little bit faster than other people. Nice stone trigger there to heal 2 as well if he so wishes, meaning he can also be semi-tanky. He combines this with Promise to the Flame, which of course reduces damage to him by 1 if he's within 2 inches of a model that's burning. And if he's going on the offensive, he has Ruthless, which combines with both of his attacks to ignore weird defenses. The first of which is the very powerful Immolate magic attack, which does 2 damage, and if he receives a raise, you can remove a burning token from the target to deal plus 3 damage. That's right, this becomes a 5 damage magic attack by removing burning and getting a raise. Obviously the raise is going to need to hit a minimum of 14, which I believe is an 8 on the flip, but it's still pretty good with a nice trigger to draw 2, discard 1. Amazing. If you can get 3 models with burning nearby, which shouldn't be too hard to be honest in this keyword, he could pump out a nice 10 damage from those. And he also has that signature action here, the Torch and Blade as a melee, hitting at a 6 skill, 2 damage, removing terrain, which is amazing because it can also just get rid of enemy markers. So you have good token removal and good marker removal within this crew. Kindle as well boosts the damage, and Blaze hands out burning to people as well. This is just a really nice swing for 2 damage. Having that inbuilt Blaze to hand out burning is really fun as well, because obviously it stacks up for Immolate. Really nice. Good beater for 8 stones, fast model if you need to do some scheming. The trouble is deciding which thing he should be doing. Up next is the Fire Golem. This is another 10 cost model, speed 7 or 9 with hastened. Really fun little model here. When he activates, models within 3 are going to get burning, and when burning is resolved on himself, damage is dealt to models within 3 inches instead of base contact. So even just getting up close, healing off your own burning from Flameborn, and then spamming it out in damage is quite good. Notably, this doesn't increase the aura from the Reborn crew card, so something to consider there, but still pretty good. You have a nice huge flaming fist as well. If you have ever wanted for 3 damage melee attacks at stat 6 that hand out burning, here's yet another one. With Kindle, of course, to gain an extra damage, but most importantly, really, sweeping strike here, dealing damage to a different model within an inch of the target, same damage -1. That's really where you're going to be pumping out the damage. Obviously, you can utilize a couple of models like the Boilermaker to pull people in range and close enough to make the most out of sweeping strike. Your signature is Flash Fire, 12-inch range on a cost of a 6. Enemy models within 3 inches of the target have to pass a TN12 defense tool or gain burning and 2 damage. Not fun, with the firewall trigger to move people towards the target as well. This obviously can help set up things like that sweeping strike as well. Pretty cool. And then Fiery Creation. Now this is something I would probably be spending most turns, just because having that extra model is always good. Once per turn, deal 3 reducible damage to yourself, and then summon a Fire Gammon. Pretty cool. You've got ways to heal it off, so you don't mind. And having the Fire Gammon is really interesting. Now, the thing is as well, if you are playing this within Iron Threaded, consider that this is a good way to this is good to get a model that has a condition on it for you to remove to summon arachnids, since summoned models will have slow, so that's pretty good to consider. The Fire Gammon themselves is a 3-cost minion, and you will probably not be hiring these, if I'm being honest, unless it's to hold a back point or something. They have a nice demise that when they're killed, deals 1 damage. Anyone within 1 inches gains burning. That's pretty alright, to be honest. And of course, when they take damage from burning, they heal instead. And when it activates, he spams up burning within 3. Now that's really nice, because it just means that you're able to hand out burning just by them existing, which means if you're summoning them, just getting them into a good position. They don't have to really do much, just hands out burning when they activate. Good way to sort with activation control too. He can also remove burning from the target with Fire Eating to heal 2 and gain a burning himself. It's nice, probably a bit more effective on a model that has more than 3 health, but you know, interesting. And then you've got Spout Flames, which is a stat 4 magic attack, does 1 damage and hands up burning. Realistically, the only thing this model is going to be doing is walking. If you ever get any damage from this, I will be surprised. It's more just a handout burning. On to the other minions, we have Firebranded, and these guys are your stock 6-cost minion here. They have Promise to the Flame, reducing damage by 1 when they're near burning tokens. That's pretty cool. 4 willpower, however, is not to be desired. These guys are intended to be on the move a little bit, however. Their charges do generate magic attacks, so they can Flame Blast from 8 inches away, handing out burning and 2 damage there with a little bit on a Kindle as well. It's okay. Really, these guys are more for their tactical actions, the first of which is Backdraft, your signature, allowing enemy models within 3 inches of a target to pass a duel or be moved towards it. This sets up lots of auras are handing out burning or dealing more damage. Grouping up enemies can be really good, and it can also pull people off of points. You also have Embrace the Flame, which 8-inch range on a cost of a 5. You target a model with burning, and it heals 1 plus X, where the X is equal to the number of allies within 3 with burning, and hands out hasten. Yes, this guy is basically your little heal bot for the crew. It might be worth taking one of these around just in case some of your models get a bit too low. I'm not really sure what they're going to be doing too much otherwise, but healing is, especially such cheap healing that doesn't require stone, can be highly sought after. We then have the Mech Arachnid, which is a construct minion of yours for 5 cost, 6 defense, 4 willpower. Still not great with the willpower here. They do have armor, however, and 7 wounds, so they're not the worst. 7 speed or 9 with hastened could be interesting. And if they do manage to kill a model, it's going to drop that scheme or remains, which is quite cool. Unimpeded, of course, unaffected by severe and hazardous terrain means they're probably a little bit more mobile than most minions, but of course they don't have that signature move or interact. Their signature, however, is a once per activation 2-inch pulse to choose 2 markers within range and make a remains marker within each of them and then remove one. Now, this is just really good at setting up remains, things that Boilermaker can choose to just spark off of, and interestingly could help with things like Shaped Land. Shooting sparks, of course, hands out burning as well. They've also got the Circular Saw Blade, gets a positive. If the attack has a positive, it ignores all physical defenses, so you're probably encouraged to focus with this model. The only triggers really worth looking at here are reposition to move yourself 3 inches, or that mangle trigger to discard a card. I'm not sure where I'd want to hire these models, probably in some very niche situations, but they are a construct, so they can be command construct and redlined. Finally, for the last of the keyword models, we have the Steam Arachnid itself, the fabled model that you can summon quite easily and likes to blow up, at least with Iron Threaded. It is a 2-stone peon with 1 health, so it's only getting 1 action. It's evasive, so it ignores those aura effects, which means that it's not just going to die to burning, hopefully. It is unimpeded as well, and 8 speed or 10 if you've got hastened. Amazing. So these guys are really going to get in the right position, and Latch On allows them to lower the defenses of enemies in base contact. Really, these are just for getting into good position and then blowing up and then doing either that or loyal to the end, which means they, for a cost of 5, you kill this model and make a scheme marker, getting scheme markers in an amazing place. You're probably never going to attack with a flaming pincer, but if you do, stat 3, 1 damage, does burning, and enemy murders with burning are dealt 1 damage and then kills you on a trigger. This guy dies easy, but you're going to be summoning a lot of them, so summon, blow up, summon, kill for schemes, whatever. They're pretty cool. Pretty fun. Which brings us into our outer keyword and versatile models here. First of all, we've got the Harris J5, an 8 cost unique model here. He is also a construct, so can be command constructed. He has 11 wounds, with unwavering, so once per activation, he may reduce damage dealt to friendly models, including himself, within 1 inch by 1. A nice little expansive armor, as it were. He combines this with tenacity, so if he's getting in trouble, he can discard a card and heal 2. Quite fun. But really, this guy is just a nice little schemer and scheme hunter. He has Pendulum Swing, which is a nice 3 damage attack with Sweeping Strike, dealing damage again. So with all the grouping up that you like to do, this guy's going to get a lot of damage out. He is also able to ignore the effects of non-scheme markers, so enemy markers he doesn't really care about. And then Overwhelming Intricacy. Once per turn, when a marker is made within 3 inches, he may place into base contact. Must be a friendly marker, but, you know, there are a few different ways of getting markers out within this crew, usually scheme or remains, but having a nice little place is cool. But really, his signature Hunt for Parts, allowing him to place anywhere within 6 inches, and then either remove a token from himself or do a pulse of slow, is pretty good. Meaning he is very mobile, something that this crew lacks internal mobility with, I think is the word. He doesn't require someone else to propel him in a direction, he can self-propel, which means he can go off and scheme quite easily and also kill anyone who wants to try and face him. A very nice, tidy model. Finally, for a more expensive option, I've gone with the Mechanical Rider here. If you can afford to pay the 11 cost for a model that is cumbersome, so it can't scale terrain, 10 wounds here, but 6, 7 in defenses, it might be worth it. If he's dealt damage, you can drain a Soul Stone to reduce the amount of damage equal to the turn number, so obviously the more the game goes on, the more effective this ability will be, if slightly more expensive. Probably a little bit better in Reborn when you can harvest Soul Stones more easily. He has Nemesis as well, so he ignores magic defenses of enemy models within 3, which means he's really good at hitting things in the face with either his melee or gun chain spear. 3 damage here with an arcane ritual trigger to once per activation draw cards equal to the turn number and then discard -1. So essentially a net gain of draw 1, but it replenishes your hand, meaning you can stack your hand with better and better cards that are probably going to be used for murdering things. Really, however, this model is here for Ride With Me, amongst other things, allowing you to move allies up. Obviously, you have quite expensive options for moving people around the board, so having another model that's quite mobile, moves himself and others to help with your scheming and pushing buttons is really good. The trigger here allowing you to select 5 non-joker cards across any discard and shuffle them back. It's really cool because you can just shuffle some ones back into your opponent's deck or shuffle some severes back into your own, really helping that favour. You also have the signature Revel in Creation, a 4-inch pulse once per activation for the cost of a 6. Each enemy model within range discards a card, and if they don't, you get to place a scheme mark into base contact with each of them. This is really good. Fork ability here forces your opponent to choose between reducing resources or giving you an advantage, especially if you need to get things down for things like ensnare. The double stone trigger here is also notable. Once per game, you can move a strategy marker within 6 inches, within 4-inch pulse up to 6 inches, not in base contact. A good way of pulling an informant's marker from across the board to your own models, or flinging someone's bomb across the board. Can be quite fun. Obviously, he does cost 11 and has a couple of things that require stones, so he's an expensive model to consider. But there isn't a lot of options for improving mobility across the Arcanists, so he is something you might think is worth it. Which brings us on to the Tactica portion of this video. First of all, we've got Iron Threaded, who really nice crew card. Obviously, you're going to be summoning lots of steam arachnids and then blowing them up, or killing them for scheme markers, and they can get into the right position really quick with haste. Overclock, obviously, it's going to make models really fast. It is stone costly, but it gives them that extra war creature size and gives them burning. And also that's redline even. Overclock, obviously, giving haste to your models and giving them an extra action is really good. Allows you to push buttons really well, get into the right positions super quick. Blowing things up, obviously unresisted damage and burning, and you can do quite a bit of it. Summoning just obviously requires stripping tokens, which you definitely put out a lot of. You need to just decide whether you want the damage now or later when it comes to burning. Redline, once again, makes constructs really nice. That extra movement gets them in the right place, and if you want to take Langston, command construct really synergizes quite well here, getting the best out of your models. Yeah, this is obviously quite a bit of a constructy title, but it's also worth considering a couple of cult models. You've got Deacon Hillcrest, who's really good at helping mobility, the same as the Firestarter. They're both quite good at pushing models upfield and getting them into the right positions. And someone like Elijah, he can put out quite a bit of damage, as well as being a good natural schemer himself, if you need someone to just go along and push buttons as well. This is definitely the title that prefers pushing the buttons, so boundary disputes, plant explosives are really the game for this one. Whereas Reborn, on the other hand, is probably a little bit better for things like recover evidence and occasionally informants. it is definitely a harder title to grasp, but you don't get the benefits of the crew card so much. You really need to be powering that fervor bar up to increase the potency of your burning. I think, first of all, just the first one's really nice, just to expand the distance by which burning travels, especially stopping the need for them to be in base contact. You do have ways, obviously, to pull people into that bubble as well, so spreading out burning is really good, and then stopping it from disappearing after 2 is just a really nice point. The damage on 3 is obviously nice as well, but it leaves something to be desired. You do obviously struggle with pushing buttons, unlike the other title, because you have less AP available to you. But obviously, as I've said before, using things like the Deacon, Firestarter, Boilermaker, or Keris themselves, although some of those are a little bit more expensive than others, they do allow you to get upfield a little bit quicker, but it's not the same, obviously. It does mean, however, you can be quite aggressive with them if you have the stones. You will have the stones because Herbie is going to be farming stones the moment you start murdering things within range. But yeah, this is definitely a crew that enjoys killing more. Don't worry too much about scheming. You don't really have the advantage of getting schemes in the right place for Steam Arachnids as much, so you want to be focusing more on denial by killing or by removing markers and things like that. Something to consider then. Also, you're obviously going to want to hire more cult models, so people like Firestarter, the Deacon, or Elijah, along with the Firebranded. These are the models that are going to be able to raise your fervor bar, so you kind of want them around. Oh, and that brings us to the end of the video here. I hope you have enjoyed this one. Hopefully it's been somewhat informative and help you discover a little bit about the Wildfire keyword and just what they're capable of on the table. I think obviously Iron Threaded likes to be a little bit more schemy and expansive, models spread out a bit more and fast in different places. Whereas Reborn wants people more clumped together to spread out burning and make the most of it. Now, with that being said, I hope you have enjoyed the video, and up next we will be looking at the 10 Thunders, so give us your votes for who you would like to see then. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.